Hi, I'm Codifer. Welcome to a few minutes of Persona 5 Royale Palaces. Today we are looking at combat and palace exploration using the third palace, the Bank of Gluttony. It's named after the sin of gluttony. You know, the deadly sin? The 7 deadly sins? That's about as original as a gaming YouTube channel. Palaces are the main dungeons of the game, and the goal is pretty much just to reach the end, get the loot, and beat the boss. I'm gonna show you how it's done. First and foremost, this game is secretly a stealth game, so find a wall or piece of furniture, and become one with the darkness. Luckily, this is the easiest stealth game ever. Worst security demons ever. So, just jump these guys when you see that little red circle of death and rip off their masks in clear defiance to current quarantine advice. Start the fight off right. Get the jump on your opponent and you'll get a free round of combat without fear of reprisal. Mess up and get spotted, but hit first anyway, and it'll be the speed stat that decides who goes first. Really mess it up, and your opponent hits you? Well, then they get to hit you in the back of the head with a chair, WWE style! And also a free round of combat. So, stick to the shadows like the the thief, that you are. Friggin' rogues. One way or another, once combat started, all you gotta do is hit your enemy's weak points and knock them flat. Like Pokemon, but with less animal violence. So, how do you know your enemy's weakness? Clever intuition, careful experimentation with different techniques, or just Google it. I won't judge. Or, if you've been spending time with a particular friend in the real world, you have the chance to learn an enemy's weaknesses right off the bat. Whatever you do, make sure to carry personas with you that can hit any weak points, especially any weak points that your allies can't hit. Or mess up like me and forget to bring a lightning type. Remember, you and your allies have weaknesses too, and if an enemy knocks you down, they might take one of you hostage. If this happens and you play online, you can call a favor from a random player and automatically escape. But if you can't do this, you may have to pay a ransom, or watch your friend die right before your eyes. I'll be back next fight. Sunim enemies don't have weaknesses. If this happens, don't panic. Just scream obscenities and set them on fire. If you do this, or put them to sleep, or paralyze them, or any other number of terrible things, then you can follow up with a different technique to do more damage and potentially knock them down anyway. Failing that, you could always just go for a physical attack and hope you get a critical hit. If you do knock your enemy down, you'll get an extra turn and can perform a baton pass. This gives the extra turn to an ally, along with a boost to damage. And if they knock an enemy down, you can do it again, until everyone's had a turn, increasing the damage each time! If you manage to knock them all down at once, you'll enter a holdup. With your enemies at your mercy, you can demand money or items in exchange for their lives. Or, you can lie to them, get them to like you, and then conscript them into your servitude. Force them to fight their former allies, only to cast them aside or execute them to get better personas. An enemy may also start negotiations with you, if you damage it enough, offering money, items, and even servitude, just to hang on to another day of sweet, sweet life. Of course, if you mess up, the enemy will continue to fight you, and they'll get a free turn. So, if it's too much of a hassle, you could always just execute them outright. You even get a cool finisher screen that changes based on who executed them. The Royal version even gives you a new way to mercilessly end your pathetic opponent's existence, called Showtime. See 2 of your favorite characters go on a delightful rampage, destroying whatever gets in their way. Only 1 victim at a time at this one, though. Ain't no true pacifist runs here! But if all this magic and demon stuff just isn't your style, you can always just beat your enemies to death, or straight up gun them down. Some demons are even weak to bullets. And that's why this stuff doesn't happen in America. And, unlike the original Persona 5, your bullets come back after every fight. So, shoot your enemy's heart out. And speaking of vulnerable demons, take a look at Purple Guy over here. These demons don't attack unless you hit them first. But if you do hit them, they counter, and unleash pretty devastating attacks. But if you manage to knock them down, they can't do a thing. And if you kill them, they'll give you all their worldly possessions and explode, killing most of their own teammates. That's one way not to die alone. Every party's got that one jerk who's gotta get on everyone's bad side, ruin everyone's good time. Like, why'd you even invite him? It's me. I'm that one jerk. Just make sure you kill them fast, or they will mess you up. There are other random things that can happen in combat too. For example, the power of Feminine Charm canceling out an enemy's turn, automatically learning an enemy's weakness, or having your friend join in on a beatdown and run over your enemy as a car. You heard that right. These are all based on how good a friend you are in the real world. Beat down with the power of friendship. Sometimes, you may run into these ghosty boys coming out of gems or jewelry. If you do, try your best to capture them. They can make your personas more powerful, but can't fight themselves. If you can't do that, or already have one, just make sure to kill it. You get more XP and gold than normal if you do. These guys are more common in Royal than they were in the original game. When it comes to exploring the palaces themselves, they are basically just standard dungeon crawls. Defeat enemies and get to the end boss. Persona 5 stages this like a heist. Break in, steal the map, find the treasure, secure an infiltration and exit route, send the calling card to look cool and waste time. I mean, reshape the mental landscape based on the cognitive distortion it causes to make treasure tangible. Right, yeah, that. Then fight the boss and get the loot. Hooray! But it's all pretty straightforward. You can't miss it. Royale does add new collectible items, these Seeds of Desire, that can be missed. Collect all 3 and have them made into a powerful item. So that does add some incentive to explore, and an excuse to use the new gadget. Fly through the air like Martha loving Batman. So cool, yes, look at me go, woohoo! I'm sorry. What really makes these palaces shine though is the aesthetic. Everything looks and feels like a warped version of the real world thing. And because palaces are meant to be a mental landscape of the villain that you're up against, they give you a real feel for your enemy's personality. The obstacles you encounter are also styled to fit the theme. In particular, the traps are well done. Skulking through a medieval castle, look out for the scythe traps. Casing a museum, watch the motion lasers. Robbing a bank like we are now, mind the cameras don't catch you. Honestly though, you'd have to be pretty bad to get caught in a trap like that. It does happen though, and if it does, or an enemy spots you, the security will go up, and the enemies will increase in number and difficulty. There are items you can use to lower the security, or you can stealth kill enemies to bring it down. But if you hit 100, you could get kicked out of the palace. To help avoid the traps altogether, you get an early ability that lets you enter a super focus mode that shows you where the traps are pointed. This ability also shows hidden treasures in yellow. Just go up to whatever's glowing and smash it for treasure. Or, you can smash what's not glowing for fun. You can also use this ability to scout out an enemy's power before a fight. Blue means weak sauce, yellow means a worthy opponent. And red means, please sir, I'm sorry, I didn't know I wasn't allowed in here, please don't hit me. Honestly, you should be able to win any fight, so long as you can hit their weaknesses. Oh god, no! Do I really need to tell you to get glowing treasure chests? Get glowing treasure chests for loot! Some are locked, so make sure to stock up on picks before going to a palace. Don't want to miss out on some sweet, sweet gear. Honestly, the biggest trick to palaces is conserving your resources, your HP and your SP. Run out of items and you can't restore these. Run out of SP, no special moves to hit your enemy's weaknesses. Run out of HP and, well... But all this seems much easier in Royal than it was in the original. There are new items that you can only use in safe rooms that heal you and restore your SP more than normal items. And getting a Seed of Desire also restores your SP. Still, victory for a thief is in knowledge and preparation. Know your enemy, and bring an extra plate of curry. Once you've reached the treasure room and sent your totally necessary calling card, head back to the palace for a final boss fight with the palace ruler, who will likely take on the form of an enormous demon.
Holy shit, what the hell?
Or a fly in a giant piggy bank tank? Hey, it's Husky Jeff Goldblum's mental world. He can do what he wants. The boss will usually have a unique mechanic that boils down to, he's about to do a big attack. Better stop him. But otherwise, it's more or less just a slugfest. Once you beat him, snag the treasure, make your escape, and watch the palace disappear. Woohoo, you won! Now head back to the real world to watch your foe confess to all his crimes of murder, theft, and that time he stole $5 out of his mom's purse. Justice! And that's Combat in Palaces, the heart of the action portion of this game. But, you may have heard me mention a real world a few times during this video. Persona is unique. One part dungeon crawling RPG, one part life simulator. Go to dangerous palaces in the mental world. Go to an even more dangerous school in the real world. I'm not even joking, like half the staff is evil. These two worlds affect each other, and many of your combat abilities are granted and strengthened by what you do in the real world, through the power of friendship! If you want to see a video about the other half of Persona 5 Royal from me, let me know in the comments down below. And let me know what you thought of this one. Continuing to try new stuff, and I'd love to hear what you thought about the video. If commenting isn't your style, feel free to leave a like or a dislike if you would rather. And share this video with someone you think would enjoy it. Thanks, and see you next time.